Hello everyone, today we're going to be talking about Shattered Throne, more specifically, how to beat the entire thing solo. My goal with this guide is to provide strategies and advice on how to overcome the challenges of each encounter and do it without dying. If you are going for a flawless, this guide will help you with that, and you'll see that even though I wasn't going for flawless, I never died at any spot. The reason I didn't get flawless is because there were many points in which I quit out of the game either to get more ammo, practice different strategies, rerun certain segments to make it easier to follow, stuff like that. If you're not worried about the flawless, there are going to be multiple checkpoints throughout the activity where you can stop, take a break, or go play other activities. Make sure if you are going to be spending a long time trying this to get up and stretch every once in a while and drink plenty of water. So as you can see, I'm on my hunter, which is currently my only character at 600 power, so it's the only character I was able to record on for now. I would not even attempt this until you're at 600 power, or maybe 1 or 2 levels below 600 at the very most. While this guide will be focused on hunters, I will do my best to provide tips on how to beat each encounter with the other classes. I will not be able to show any other perspectives from my other characters until the Shattered Throne returns 2 weeks from now, at least at the time of this recording. Once it's back, I plan on recording solo Warlock and solo Titan runs. I wanted to let you know that there are timestamps in the description for each encounter, so if you only want to see how to solo Vorgeth, you can skip straight to that encounter. Something else I should mention is that this guide is going to assume you are familiar with the dungeon and its mechanics. I will not be going super in depth on how each encounter works, but you'll see how it all works just through me playing it. Alright, subclasses, weapons, exotics, what should we be using to make our time in the dungeon the easiest? If you're a hunter, start the dungeon with Way of 1,000 Cuts. You'll also be able to use the bottom tree with Nighthawk, but Blade Barrage is just too good. If I were going to run this on a Titan, I would pick the top tree Sunbreaker, and if I were running on a Warlock, I would actually choose the new solar subclass for the Well of Radiance super. Before we cover weapons, let's go over armor real quick. In this footage, I was using one of my only armor sets on my hunter, which has 5 super cooldown mods and nothing too special about any of the armor. Armor perks will help you out greatly in this activity. Something like Sniper Rifle Reserves will really give you a benefit, so make sure to go over your armor and see what's available to you. If you are going for a solo run, and especially if you're going for flawless, use the Transcendent Blessing mods in your armor. The more Transcendent Blessing mods you have, the more damage you'll be doing in the Dreaming City, which also includes the Shattered Throne. On top of the Transcendent Blessing mods, use any of those super powerful Taken mods like Taken Barrier or Taken Invigoration. These will make your life so much easier. You will deal more damage and you will get a serious advantage over someone not using these mods. I didn't use any to show that it's possible without them, but it's not exactly as smooth as it can be. For weapons, in the primary slot, I would actually recommend bringing the Long Shadow, which is a Vanguard sniper rifle, 90 RPM, 4 in the mag, and decent impact. You can get this puppy by just turning in Vanguard tokens, and it has a very high tendency to roll with triple tap, which is one of the big reasons I like using it. Throughout this entire run, I'll only be using the sniper in the primary. I will not be swapping it out for anything ever. In the secondary slot, I would recommend bringing an energy hand cannon with decent rolls like Dragonfly and Outlaw, or Outlaw and Rampage, etc. Dragonfly is exceptionally good in this dungeon, and it's why I'm using the curated Nation of Beast hand cannon from the raid. I realize not everyone will be able to get this, so if you don't have it, there are plenty of other options for energy hand cannons that can roll with good perks. If you can or don't want to get one, you can always swap the primary and secondary weapons, and instead of using a sniper in your first slot, use something like Midnight Q or Better Devils and then a sniper in your secondary slot. Now, once we get to Vorgeth, I will be switching to Inaugural Address, the Void Pulse Rifle from the Leviathan raid. There aren't many solid Year 2 Void weapons, so that's why I'm going to be using this one. You want something like a Pulse Rifle because pulses are in a fantastic spot right now, and you'll also need a bit of range. I like Inaugural Address because it has Kill Clip, Outlaw, and it's just overall a great gun. Now, once we pass Vorgeth, I'll be switching to the Gambit Solar Scout Rifle, Distant Relation. Mine rolled with Explosive Payload and Triple Tap. It's a 180 RPM scout that I really like using, but you could use any Solar Scout that you like, even Year 1 stuff. Once we get to Duel Incaru, I'll be switching back to Nation of Beasts. And there's not many options when it comes to heavy weapons that you'll want to use for this activity, especially if you're soloing it. My first choice obviously will be Whisper of the Worm. Having its catalyst completed is going to be a huge bonus, and frankly, I wouldn't even attempt this if I didn't have the catalyst completed. The other option is Sleeper Sim, although I have no idea how that's actually going to perform here. I was told it's pretty good, but haven't touched it since after the patch. I imagine it's probably one of the few heavy weapons that can keep up with Whisper in terms of damage. I know Darcy is also very good, but Whisper just has that white nail perk, so there's really no competition. As for exotics, mobility-based ones like Stompies, Lying Rampant, and Transversive Steps are all good for multiple encounters, although of course that depends on if you have them leveled up. I'd say the section you'll need the most mobility in is the first one, the Symbol Maze for running around and platforming and avoiding enemies, although you can really use anything that you enjoy in the first few areas, or you don't have to use any exotics at all like I did. Now that we got all that stuff out of the way, it's time to start the Shattered Throne. Make sure to rally to a public event flag before you head into the dungeon, because you'll need all the ammo you can get. For Encounter 1, which I'm calling the Symbol Maze, I have created a map of the area for those of you like myself who don't know the symbol locations by heart yet. It's a rough depiction of the area, but will greatly help you avoid getting too lost in the area. There's no time limit or rush, but you also don't want to spend forever here. Screenshot this map, or if you'd like, check out the link in the description to the image itself. Alright guys, we're in the Shattered Throne now. I'm going to be commentating over almost all of the video. It's going to be extremely exhausting, but hopefully worth it so that you guys can solo this yourself. So when you get to the first encounter, a lot of the times the Labyrinth Architect will either be right out in the front, or he'll be hiding in between the doors. You just gotta hang out a little bit, wait for him to wander in view, and you can either use your primary sniper or your Whisper. I like using Whisper to proc the White Nail, which if you don't know, Whisper has the perk White Nail, which gives you all your ammo back if you hit 3 precision hits in a row. And you can see I failed miserably there trying to do it, but you know, the goal is to save as much ammo as possible. A lot of times you can just shoot with one of your other weapons to lure the enemies out. You'll see me do that a lot here. And there you go, I just got the White Nail to proc. So I didn't lose any ammo on that exchange. Took out the mini boss, and I'm going to clear out the rest of the guys here with my melee and my grenade. So now that these guys are done, the symbol we need to look for is the 2 fish in a circle, 69 fish as it's called a lot of the times. So I need to reference my map here, see which way I'm going. Now the hard part about this first encounter is the strategy isn't going to always be the same for everybody. I mean, the symbols are completely random. The symbols that show up, the glowing ones, they're completely random. The symbols that are on the temple, they never change. So that's why I gave you the map for the symbols on the wall. But the symbols that glow when you kill the mini boss, those change every time. So I can't exactly give you a route to follow. You kind of just gotta either practice or just be very, very cautious everywhere you go. A few times you're going to run into a bunch of these cursed, or not cursed thralls. You're going to run into a bunch of these taken thrall. The best thing you can do is just stay back and take them out. When you get to your first section, a lot of times there's going to be hobgoblins, taken hobgoblin snipers. They're usually along the pathways that are very open and have a lot of space on either side of them. So be very careful about that. There are 7 mini bosses. Most of them are unique. I think 2 of them are a copy of each other. And most of them you can take out pretty easily, like this dude. I'd recommend anytime you're going to try and kill a mini boss, try to approach it from as far away as possible. You want to be using your sniper and your Whisper if possible to save ammo and just to get a lot of damage off so that you don't have to go in there and fight everyone, you know, with your bare hands. Because that's one surefire way to get yourself killed. So I like to take out as many guys as possible before getting close. Of course, taking out the acolytes is always a plus because they won't be able to spawn in any more of these annoying acolyte eyes. Just be very cautious when you're walking around and try to keep your distance at all costs. So next we're going for the boring bird. Bird looking left, standing on nothing as we call it in our raid group. Got to find that symbol on the wall. I think it's called the Tower of Sky, or I'm not exactly sure, but it's the one up. It's the one up on the bridge, very high up there. A lot of times when you go through these small passages with blight, taken blight things on the wall, they'll spawn in a captain or a phalanx. Of course, you want to try and take them out immediately. That's why I use solar subclasses, because the taken guys have solar shields. And most of the mini bosses actually do too. So we want to work our way to the bridge here. Again, anytime, like I mentioned, you get to like a new area, A lot of times there's going to be like a guy spawning in here, or there's going to be taken thrall. And anytime you get to a long bridge pathway, there's going to be snipers. So you're going to see that in a few minutes. They're going to be everywhere. Now I'm just taking out these guys with my Nation of Beast. It's such a good hand cannon. Dragonfly and Outlaw. And it just hits like a truck. It's real good. So we want to, again, keep our distance. These Thrall aren't too bad. You could honestly just run up and melee them. They're really not that bad. You can actually see one of these snipers already trying to fire at me. So if you can, try and be very conscious of your radar. And keep an eye out for those snipers, because they'll be the death of you. They hit really hard. They're very dangerous. You can see one's already shooting me again, and I'm just panicking, running back. Thankfully, I was able to see him. So now we're working our way to the bridge area. And as soon as you get up to like this first area with the phalanx guys, a bunch of snipers are going to spawn in. So be very, very careful not to be out in the open for too long. You don't want to run up and like try and melee these guys, because they will boop you back very far. And you can see the snipers just spawned in, and they're shooting at me from every direction. If you're far enough up, these phalanx guys will not be able to shoot you, so you should be able to take them out pretty easily. But the ones in front will pretty much always be shooting at you. They won't really be able to hit you though if you're, down below this bridge area. Now you want to take out all of the taken hobgoblins, and once you do that, try and get rid of the phalanxes with your sniper, or at least, keep your distance somehow. Now that we're up here, you can do one of two things. You can lure out the taken thrall, who are going to spawn in this area once you get close enough to this room, or you can just take out the hobgoblin mini-boss by using your Whisper of the Worm. If he's not in view, you can actually shoot a few times, and that will lure him out. And then you should be able to clear him pretty easily. Like I said, if you get up too close, these taken thrall will spawn in. You can do it in any order you want. Take them out first, or take the boss out first. It doesn't really matter. As long as you don't die, that's all that really matters. You can actually jump down here off this little ledge, and the thrall will not follow you. So if they're getting too close, or if you're getting too hurt, you can actually just drop down and you'll be totally fine. They won't really be able to come down here unless they accidentally fall, in which case, one or two isn't going to be that big of a threat. If you're 600 power like I recommended, these thrall aren't going to be too much of a problem, and even just the normal acolytes won't be too bad. The acolyte eyes, on the other hand, will shred you, so if you can take out the acolytes first and then quickly take out the eyes, it'll make your life a lot easier. So now that we've cleared out the other enemies, we're going to need to go find the bowl snake symbol, or the U snake. Again, reference your map if you're lost. It should help you backtrack and find exactly where you need to go. If you're at the Temple of the Sky, or whatever this was called, the one with the boring bird, it's going to be right to the right of the bridge here. What you can actually do is lure out the enemies and sit on this bridge and just use your Whisper or Sleeper to destroy this mini-boss here. He's actually just going to be chilling in the doorway, and you can actually snipe him pretty easily without even getting close in there. This is a pretty good vantage spot to actually snipe him from. And of course, I'm, again, keeping my distance, trying not to get too close before I have to go in there and clear them out. Next, we're looking for the Infinity Snake symbol. That's going to be on the left side once you enter the Shattered Throne first encounter. This first encounter isn't that difficult. It's all about just staying alive and keeping your distance from enemies, not rushing in unnecessarily, and trying to take out as many of the mini bosses from as far away as you possibly can. Now, this section is the second bridge section where there's going to be a lot of hobgoblin snipers, and I mean a lot of snipers here. They only activate once you start walking on these little broken ascendant platform things right here. So if you're from this far away, you can actually pick off some of the enemies. This Centurion's going to have arc shields, so it's going to be kind of tough to take him out with your sniper. It's one of those situations where I honestly probably would recommend clearing out everything you possibly can first and then going in and clearing the boss with like your super or something. And be very careful because he shoots these like little axion bolt things and they're super annoying. So once you run halfway on these platforms, the hobgoblins are going to spawn and they're going to be everywhere. So you're going to have to like, you know, keep your eyes open for them. You want to use this little pillar as cover. And if you're, you know, very nervous about dying, you can even run back even farther. You can run back even farther and stay out of the line of sight of all of these guys. But you basically want to move around and, you know, keep cover from all of these snipers. Pick them off one by one. That's why I recommended bringing the sniper, the long shadow, because it's very good for taking out the hobgoblins. You could use a bow as well, although I'm not sure how good that's going to be for the future encounters. Now you can see I've taken out all the snipers and I'm starting to work my way a little closer to the boss room. When I feel a little confident that I can actually get in there and not die, that's when I'll pop my super. Since I'm using an arc energy weapon, I popped his shields and then use my super. Most of the time he's going to survive unless you use something like Arc Strider. But since I would recommend a solar subclass for this first one, if you're not using that, you're going to have to take him out with your whisper. Or you could even use your primary sniper, but it's just going to take a little longer. This guy's pretty annoying because of his axion bolts, but if you get in there, super him, and then use your whisper to finish him off, he shouldn't be too much of a problem. Alright, next symbol we need to go find. It shouldn't be too much harder after this. There's a few more mini bosses left. It kind of sucks that it's all RNG, but I guess it would be pretty boring if you just had the same symbol pattern every time. We found the next area. It's in the Tower of the Deep, the one with the dragon breathing fire to the right symbol. This mini boss is a pain in the ass. There's two of these Taken Captain guys with solar shields and they throw those stupid blight attacks. They are the most annoying ones to fight ever. They suck. So the way I would recommend approaching this is try and take out all of the ads around him and all of the acolytes, all the acolyte eyes. Take out everyone so that it's just him. You can actually pop his shield and kill him with a whisper. Or you can, you know, completely try and no-scope and miss like I did. Or you could actually just wait for your super to recharge and then super him. It only takes 5 minutes for your base cooldown of your super to recharge fully. So you won't have to sit around here for too long, and it's definitely a little less risky than trying to snipe him. But the reason I felt I was able to snipe him there is because I popped his shields and he was kind of stunned. So I had an option to go in there and just destroy him with a whisper. He's going to be one of the hardest ones to face. Same with the last mini boss we fight. You kind of just got to either super him and then kill him off really quickly, or try and pop his shields and pick him off from cover. This next dude is the sniper guy. He's also pretty annoying, but not even close to annoying as the guys who throw the blights. They just give me a serious headache. This guy, I honestly would recommend probably just trying to take him out initially before you even bother with the other enemies. The Acolyte Eyes might give you some trouble, but if you use this tree as cover, or even if you're up on the pathway to the left, you can take him out pretty easily. His sniper does hurt a lot, but as long as you're precise, he goes down pretty quickly. He doesn't have a shield or anything. After you take him out, finish off the ads, and all we gotta do next is find the last area, which is the area we started in with the bird diving down. You want to be cautious here because this guy is the same as the guy we faced before with the Taken Blight. There's always going to be 2 Taken Blight throwing captains. Of course, I gotta have 2 of the worst enemy in there. But this guy will rush you, so be very careful. I used my super on him because, you know, he was getting a little too close. And the hard part is trying to snipe him if he gets his shield back and isn't stunned, and if he's throwing blights at you. So try and keep your distance and try and just stagger him over and over if you can. I was just not hitting my shots here, so I had to, you know, I had to switch weapons and use everything I could to take him out quickly because he will rush you and he will destroy you. Do not let him get close. Take out the ads with your grenades or your hand cannon and just move on in and you're done with the first section. Not too bad. I mean, there's only a few bosses in here that are going to give you some serious trouble, but if you take your time, because there's no rush, you don't have to speed through this by any means, just take your time and you will be totally fine. The second encounter is called the Descent. Once you reach this little cliff side, you actually get a checkpoint, so at this point, once you see that pop up, you can actually just leave and, you know, return here next time you load in. If you had no problem on the first part, this is going to be easy. Very easy. Watch this Minotaur's reaction when I shoot him. It's hilarious. He's like, the heck was that? That really hurt, dude. I love the way he like flicks around his head real fast. Don't ask me why I picture Minotaurs with like really high-pitched voices, but it's hilarious. So after you take him out, you just want to drop down here and start working on these acolytes. It might be tough to hit these guys from afar. You can actually move up a little bit using this wall right in front of you as cover. But after you take some of those guys out, or at least they're not shooting at you, you can start working on all of these Vandal snipers. Sometimes there will be an extra one that you don't see in this video that you can actually snipe from standing on the very far left of this platform. It depends on if he's like walking around there, whether you can see him or not. Sometimes he's hiding. But you can get a ton of snipers down just from here, and that's what you want to do. You want to first kill all the snipers because they will wreck you. After you take out the snipers, you can actually sometimes lure out the Minotaur here. He has like a cloaking device. He's like a invisible Minotaur. He like sometimes wanders near that cliffside. If you can't get him to peek out, just work your way down below him and clear out the rest of the acolytes that are hiding beneath the stairs. And you can actually approach this from 2 different ways. The first one is climbing up this rock face here. This is pretty risky though if you're not prepared for his like attack thing. So if you can lure him out by jumping up on that tree, you can actually just jump back down here and snipe him from the ground. Or you can, you know, even snipe him or finish him off from standing up on this ledge. But the reason I went up here is to get him out of hiding so that I could shoot him from the ground. The ground is definitely a lot safer. Now if you can climb up the rock face and you're able to take him out, you can actually take out this sniper across from you. Watch out because he's a dead-eye, dude. So after you take him out, there will usually be another Minotaur across there. Yep, he's shooting at me right now. And you can see I use my super on the boss. You can actually almost insta-kill him if you land all your shots. What I did is I used my super and then I just stayed in cover until I could take out that Minotaur, because if you try and like rush this guy or try and snipe him and be aimed down sights, you'll be tunnel visioned and the Minotaur will most likely destroy you. So just like the last encounter, I popped his shields and then I tried to kill him with a whisper. Luckily he got stuck behind this little post here, so I didn't have too much trouble, but this guy can be a nightmare because he's also very aggressive. Behind me, there's actually a taken phalanx that's like up the stairs right in front of us when we first got to this section. And you don't have to kill him at all, but if you go up the normal pathway to this section, he'll be right around the corner, so watch out for him. The way I took, I'm a lot more comfortable with, so that's why I didn't even bother with him. For this bridge section, the first thing you really want to do is get rid of the closest taken hobgoblin snipers, because they will destroy you. And after you do that, it basically becomes a game of how many precision shots can I land and how much ammo can I save. I'm using Whisper, so every time I land 3 precision shots, like I talked about earlier, I get all my ammo back. So that's kind of what you're just going to be going for this whole section, is you're going to be seeing how many precision shots in a row you can land if you can just save all your ammo but be able to take out like every guy in here. Now after you take out the snipers and you're able to take down some of the phalanxes, you want to start working on the taken knights. The knights aren't too bad to kill, it's just their fire attack sometimes blinds your vision. But if you take out the snipers and the phalanxes around you, it'll just be the knights and you won't really have too much trouble focusing on them. You'll see me switch between my primary sniper and the Whisper. I'll use my primary sniper when I know I'm not going to be able to hit 3 shots in a row with the Whisper. Or if I'm just not confident because the enemies are so far away that in case I miss, I won't be wasting valuable heavy ammo. Just work your way down the bridge, getting precision shot after precision shot. And if you're going for a flawless run, you definitely don't want to miss your shots because you need all the ammo you can get and you can't exactly abandon the activity or you fail the flawless. There will be 2 more knights you have to take care of. I took out the one across the way with my sniper. This guy, I'm just going to use my primary to take out. He's not too much of a threat. Definitely scavenge for ammo though, it's very important. And sometimes you can actually get really lucky with ammo. It depends on, what perks you're rocking on your armor. And just if RNG blesses you or not. Now there's a few snipers left. I'm going to go for another precision shot and I just failed real bad. So I'm going to try again to hit 3 in a row. There's 1, there's 2, and there's 3. All right, got all my ammo back, so I didn't have to waste any. I'll take this last guy out with my primary, and then we're good to go for this section. Pick up some more ammo on the way, make sure I'm topped off, and then we are on to the next section. This is the Ogre beam room, whatever you want to call it. This is not that hard. It's probably the easiest section in the entire mission, I guess. All you have to do is just stay far away from these guys, and you could either use your Whisper or your primary sniper to just really take care of these guys. I like using my Whisper and proccing White Nail. It makes this fight really easy, And you don't really have to waste any ammo by doing that. You will want to take out all 3 of the initial ogres here in this section, because you will not be able to run past any of them without getting knocked off the edge. You have to run up here to activate this ogre to spawn in, and I don't know why he was running away from me. He was really scared for some reason. But you have to run up to, halfway on this beam to like activate him, and then you could either just super him or just run back real quick and snipe him. Same thing's going to happen on this platform. You're going to have to run up a little bit to spawn in this guy. He's going to be pretty far away though, so he shouldn't be that hard to take out. I was kind of running low on whisper ammo, so I went with my primary. The reason I like it is because it has triple tap, so I do get it 1 bullet back. Would be nice if it had 4 times the charm though. This next section is going to be a little risky. Essentially, once you get to this like beam right here, this guy's going to spawn in, and I think he can actually shoot you from here, so you want to be very quick with taking him out. Again, if you didn't use your super, you can super him here, but I would just recommend sniping him and trying to keep your distance. This ogre on the right here, you can actually just run past him. You don't even have to worry about him, and go right to the Thrallway. He's really no threat. If you are going for a flawless, I would recommend using Shadow Shot, the Night Stalker subclass, because if you do get in a pickle here, you can actually use invisibility or tether to get out of it. If you're one of the other classes, you can just use your super to get out of a tight spot. Otherwise, this shouldn't be too hard. All you have to do is really jump and kind of zigzag out of the way of these Shadow Thrall. Using your grenades is going to be very helpful. Do not use melee though. Melee will be the death of you. Do not use your melee because you will lunge into the Thrall and it will kill you. See, like I almost did right there. I used my melee and it almost cost me. The Thrallway shouldn't be too hard. You just gotta jump, keep moving, zigzag, and of course use your super if you're getting harassed by the Thrall too much. Now this part is simply just clearing out the enemies and avoiding the taken launchers on the wall. What I like to do is take out this guy even though he's not really much of a threat, just in case he like drops down and jumps on my head for some reason. So after he's done, what I'll do is I'll work my way around this area, even though you could walk up where he was. I just like avoiding the taken launchers, so snipe this guy in the head right here, and try to avoid the black taken goo on the floor because it will burn you real fast. And once we get to this little ledge here, we can just jump up and take this guy out with a grenade. And then just work our way to the platform. I like taking out these few first phalanxes here. Getting rid of the first few guys at the bottom of the stairs will allow you to just use your super on the rest of them. You could use Shadow Shot or Blade Barrage or whatever class you are. You could just use your super, get rid of these guys real fast. to clear through this section. So now we're at the hardest part in the entire mission, Vorgeth. After you clear that last section full of phalanxes, if you're a hunter, switch to Night Stalker, top tree, and put on Orpheus rigs. The other classes, I would just stick with what I recommended in the beginning, Titan Sunbreaker, Warlock, Well of Radiance. And the reason I suggest Night Stalker for Hunter is because using the invisibility, and even just the tether, is going to be a huge lifesaver. And honestly, this is going to be the easiest on Hunter because of that invisibility. And yes, this is a Hunter solo run, so the other perspectives will not be available until I complete them. But I do want to link in the description the solo runs for the Titan and Warlock so that you guys can get an idea of how to approach it on the different classes. When I'm in the middle of the Vorgeth fight, I will be giving some advice for other classes. Of course, I won't actually be able to show it, but hopefully that is enough to get you through it until I can upload those other perspectives. Since we're approaching the Vorgeth fight, I'm also going to switch to my Void Pulse Rifle now. Now, the advantage to being one of the other classes in the Vorgeth fight is if you're not so confident in your ability to hit precision shots on the Ogre boss, you can actually use Lunafaction boots for the Warlock with a Rift, and you will never have to reload. The downside is you're going to run out of ammo way faster, but at least you'll be able to be accurate. And of course, if you're a Titan, you can use a Rally Barricade in this fight, although I guarantee you're probably going to want to use the Towering Barricade to block any sort of incoming damage. If you have it, I would use the Crest of Alpha Lupi for the Titan. It gives you a chunk of health every time you put down your barricade, which is really useful. Alright, so the strategy for Vorgeth is to pick either the left side or the right side of the room initially and get into cover. Both sides are symmetrical, so you'll have the same cover as I do here. Your goal for the beginning of this fight is to move back and forth between cover while taking out any enemies that threaten your position. If an enemy has line of sight to you and can shoot you, you only have two options. Move to the other cover area or take the enemy out. Most of the time you will be able to pick one of those two options, but if you can't, you'll have to keep moving back and forth until you have a safe spot to sit again, or you can take the enemy down. Once the encounter begins, you want to take out any enemies closest to you. If you have a super, this is a good time to use it to clear out the Vandals and Goblins in your starting area. Do not kill the Wizard though. The biggest thing here is that you want to focus on being conscious of where the enemies are, where the boss is, and if you're safe in cover. Something that is going to affect your runs that I didn't have time to deal with in this footage is the Taken Vandals popping their bubble shields, which is an ability that was broken for a while. Thanks to the latest patch, it's actually working again, so you want to make sure when you attack the Vandals, you want to take them out quickly. If you're not accurate and can't down them within a few seconds, they're going to pop their shields and it's going to cost you a lot of time in the race to collect all the Petitioner buffs. The Vandals and bubble thing doesn't really matter until you've picked up the first buff. Once you manage to kill all of the enemies around you, you want to either work on the wizard and get its health low, or start attempting to kill the other ads next to the right and left wizards. It will be difficult to kill the ads on the right and left, so you'll have to be patient and take it slow. Like I mentioned in the very beginning of this video, you can shoot to get the enemy's attention and they will sometimes wander over into your line of sight. Try this if you can't see any ads while you're in cover. Just be careful if they walk out and are shielded by goblins. Again, rotate back and forth if the wizards can see you, or if the ogre can shoot you, and keep tabs on the enemies on the opposite side from where you are, because occasionally the snipers will be able to shoot you from there too. Once you've cleared all the ads on one side, get the wizard's health low and then move to the next side. There were times where I came really close to killing the wizards, which would have been bad, so it's better to leave the wizards with more health rather than killing them. Remember, since we're using a void weapon, popping their shields will do a bunch of damage to them as well. So if they have just a teeny bit of health left and you go to pop their shields, that's most likely going to kill them. If you're a hunter, you can simply go invisible and run to the opposite side. And if you're a warlock, use your grenades to give yourself an overshield and then sprint past the wizard and ogre. If you're a titan, you'll want to wait until the wizard is not directly in front of you when running. This may require you to hop to the other cover and distract the wizard out of your way. Do the same thing on the opposite side, and then comes the stressful part. Once the 3 wizards closest to you are low health, you'll want to kill the first one. I'd recommend starting on the first wizard closest to the entrance where we started, and then working your way clockwise. You can go in the other direction, but I was just comfortable sticking to my usual route. Kill the wizard, pick up the orb, and then move to the next wizard. Be careful not to stand out in the open when trying to kill the wizard, or else the ogre will demolish you. But be quick, because you only have so much time. Once the wizard is down, if you have enough time on your current petitioner's buff, try and quickly take out any enemies that you can see in the very far back of the room near the 4th wizard. I like to down the wizard, try and take out as many enemies as possible with my sniper for like 5 seconds, and then pick up the buff. If you wait too long, the buff will disappear, so don't let that happen. As soon as you pick up the buff, you'll have to use cover and get rid of the vandals and goblins ASAP. After popping the wizard's shield, I like to use my sniper to finish her off. It's very useful to shoulder charge as a titan when making a dash to avoid getting hit by the ogre, but regardless of class, try and jump as little as possible. Now, all you have to do is finish off the last wizard, and then we'll need to set up to dunk. The best way to go about dunking is to wait until the ogre starts walking behind one of the pillars so that it blocks his line of sight and you can dunk without getting shot. I didn't do this at all on my hunter run, as I just was able to use invisibility, which is kind of risky, but if you dunk right as the ogre starts to walk behind the pillar so that his eye is completely covered as you're dunking, you should be completely safe to escape and start the DPS phase. As soon as you trigger the damage phase, run backwards away from the ogre to get some distance between you and him, and then quickly turn around and use your secondary, which in this case it's my inaugural address, to shoot all of the Axion darts flying at you. Immediately after you've shot them down, switch to your heavy weapon. If it's the Whisper, wait for the Whispered Breathing to activate, and then do your best to aim for his glowing eye. Almost immediately after you aim down sights, he will send another group of Axion darts after you. Once Whispered Breathing procs, you can actually shoot the Axion darts to count as precision hits, meaning you can keep the white nail going without having to descope. If you're 600 power, you can survive only one Axion dart, unless you're standing in a well of radiance, which I would highly recommend putting down as soon as you turn around. The more damage, the better here. A single missed precision shot can cost you a load of damage, especially if you need to take care of the Axion darts before resuming the DPS. As soon as the ogre's shield returns, immediately destroy all incoming Axion darts, and then haul ass back to where we started. Using your super here can be a great idea to escape, and if you're a warlock and you just use your Well of Radiance, use your grenade to give yourself an overshield and get back into cover ASAP. If you can do all of that, you can kill the boss. That's one rotation. Now, you just have to do it again until you defeat him. To prevent myself from losing my voice, I'm going to stop commentating for the rest of the fight, as it's just doing what we just did over again, and I'll catch up with you guys after I beat the boss. congrats! If you made it this far, the hardest part of the dungeon is over. The next sections are really just clearing enemies and not getting too cocky regardless of how easy it looks.
My strength is with you, hero.
So this next section and the few that follow are not that difficult. It's all about just being cautious and not trying to rush in there and think you're gonna clear this in a few seconds. No, it's gonna take a little bit of time. This first section though, you can actually run past the wizards. You don't need to kill them. It might be a little dangerous if you get caught up on something, so you can take them out if you're nervous, but you should be totally fine just running past them and going up the lift. They won't be able to shoot you once you're going up, so you should be able to survive no problem. You'll immediately come to this next area with a bunch of Taken guys, acolytes. I think there's even some thrall here. Definitely a beefy knight mini boss. Just hang back and try and take them all out, not getting too close. As you'll see here, I'm using a scout rifle. This is the distant relation, the Gambit scout rifle. Mine dropped with explosive rounds and triple tap, a pretty good roll, but you can essentially use anything. It's a solar scout rifle, which is going to be excellent for this section and the ones that are after this. So if you have a solar scout, or you can pull one from the collections from year 1 and infuse it, it's going to really come in handy. Try and take out all the ads around the knight, and then you're free to approach the knight however you want. You can shoot him with your scout, you can use your whisper, you can super him, whatever you feel most comfortable doing. He kind of got stuck there in this little weird tripping animation, so I was able to get a few shots off on him and not have to struggle too much with him here. But like I said, this isn't going to be that hard. It's just going to be all about taking your time and not rushing. Head up to the next lift, and we'll come to a next section with a bunch of phalanxes and goblins. Stay as far back as you possibly can, because the phalanxes and these boomer goblin things have quite a bit of range. So stay back, pick them off, take out the goblins first that are shielding the other goblins, and be careful if you knock a phalanx off, because they will respawn. They will absolutely pop back in and will spook you, so watch out for that. After clearing the phalanxes, there will be 2 taken captains down here, solar shields, and they throw those blight attacks. Extremely annoying. What I'd recommend is, if you can, try and pop their shields and jump down and go take them out with your super or something. Sometimes they'll walk out in the middle and you can take them out from up here. But if they're not falling for your trick, then you're going to have to go down there and super them or pop their shields and then snipe them. If you can pop their shields, it will stagger them, and sometimes you can finish them off, but other times it's just better to use your sniper. I said there was 2 captains, there's actually 3. There's one way at the end there too. If you come to this section and you can pop their shields and then quickly snipe them, it'll make dealing with them very easy and you won't have to get too close for this. But a lot of times after popping their shields, they'll immediately stagger right into cover and you won't exactly be able to kill them, so you might have to super. Sometimes you can move over to the side of this little platform and you'll be able to get in, you'll be able to get a shot on them. But not always. Sometimes you will have to get a little too close for comfort. Again, you see me do the pop the shield, stagger him, and then snipe him. It's a pretty good combo. It works really good for any of these taking captains and stuff. The next section is a bunch of vandals. Just utilize your sniper and your scout here to take out all of the guys from a distance. There will be some guys on the left and right staircases here that you'll have to get a little close to take out, but if you try and approach them a little bit. Sometimes they'll walk back up the stairs and you can walk backwards yourself and you don't have to be too close, but this section is pretty easy. Just a bunch of Vandal snipers. You just don't want to get too close because their snipers will shred you. They didn't really seem to attack me all that often here. I guess I was a little bit out of range, which is all I could ask for, really. Again, you want to stay as far back as possible and try and do the same thing with these captains. Pop their shields and snipe them if you can. These guys love hiding behind some cover there. It's super annoying, so try and snipe them before they try and get into cover. The last thing you want to do in this section is get too close, because then they will non-stop throw those blight attacks and it just makes me want to die. Right after those three captains will come the Thrallway version 2. This one you can actually double jump and stuff like that, so it's not that bad. But what I like to do here is use a super on this first guy. A well-placed grenade also works really well. Once you drop down here though, the Thrall can't follow you. So your main goal is to take out that one phalanx in the beginning, because he'll just knock you off if you don't. So a grenade or a super will finish him off, and then you can just sit back here without a worry and take out the rest of the phalanx dudes out in the distance. Now be careful parkouring across this section. It is very easy to fall or take a wrong step, and there goes your flawless if you're trying for that. This next section is pretty risky, but I haven't ever had too much of a problem with it. As soon as you peek around this corner, you can see a taken goblin there. Shoot him immediately. You want to take out all the enemies in this section immediately. Like, literally, as soon as you see them, just destroy them, because they will kill you fast. The goblins do not mess around. See, as this guy, as soon as I saw him, I immediately threw grenades. Luckily, I had invisibility. If you have a shoulder charge on your Titan, just go up and shoulder charge him. If you're a Warlock, just chuck a grenade at him or something. Just take him out real quick. You do not want them hanging around. If you need to, take your time on this wall. Just be aware of where the launchers are on the wall. That's the biggest thing. You just don't want to be standing in front of one when it goes off. There's one final enemy in this section. So after you drop down and walk around this corner, you can actually see him a little bit early, and you should be able to take him out and progress with no problem. Taking the next two lifts will bring us all the way to the final boss. Dual Incaru can probably be done with other heavy weapons, but doing it solo pretty much requires the Whisper. I'm also going to switch back to my Nation of Beasts to more easily clear the Scions. I'll try and utilize the Dragonfly perk here to really give me an edge on clearing the ads. Your first priority is clearing all of these Scions. They are the biggest threat, so supering and just wiping them all out really quickly is what you need to focus on. To start the encounter, get the knight's attention by walking up to them. You want them all facing you so you can easily get precision shots. Stand at the back, and after Whispered Breathing activates, get 3 shots on each knight. You want to be consistent and try and get the same amount of hits on each knight as best you can. This means you can kill them all at the same time, which makes this fight much easier. After you get 3 hits per knight, the Scions are going to spawn roughly around this time. As a hunter, I like to tether the Scions. Just be aware that if you do tether and it attaches to the knights, it will give you a ton of super energy, but it will also make the knights disappear. After you clear out the Scions, continue doing damage to the knights, and when they get too close, you'll have to switch sides. For this section, be aware that if you are standing out in the open, the boss can kill you. So make sure you're behind some cover, but still have a line of sight to the knights. If you are using Transcendent Blessing mods, you're going to be able to kill the knights a lot faster. You can actually still hit these knights when they are disappearing and even kill them, so don't stop shooting just because they start to vanish. Once all 3 knights are dead, you should try and cautiously go pick up the 3 buffs, trying to avoid the boss's attack. Find some cover immediately after getting all 3 buffs. It gets a little dangerous here because you need to be able to shoot the boss without standing out in the open for too long, and the farther back you are behind some cover, it will be easier to avoid her attack. Don't stress out too much during this phase because you have plenty of time to do damage. Just take a look at the buff timer on your screen. If you were able to survive the Scions and kill the knights, this is a piece of cake. Just aim for her head, and with the triple buff, you should melt her in seconds. And that's it. The Shattered Throne solo. Overall, a really fun and really challenging activity. And you get a neat little emblem for beating it alone. I know this was a crazy long video, but I hope it was helpful. Like I talked about earlier, there will be a separate video of the Vorgeth and Dual Incaru fights completed on all 3 classes uploaded soon. So keep your eyes peeled for that. After a lot of me blabbling and endless hours of editing and recording, we're done.